Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to our session, the new series of sessions now. I hope you enjoyed our last session, which was about grooming. I think quite a lot of people participated. It was a very long session. I also got a lot, a lot tired towards the fourth hour of the session. But very interesting and very useful. A lot of takeaways for all of you. Now we are moving towards soft skills, and these soft skills are extremely important. Only today, we were having a global discussion around ACCA members and what their expectations are and what do they like most about the services being provided to them. And interestingly, we have a survey by the name Member Relationship Survey, which tells us about your expectations and about your needs from ACCA. And it is very loudly communicated to us through that survey that number one, a lot of members want ACCA to conduct free CPDs for them, which is something that we have always been doing and will continue to do. But number two, interestingly, a lot of members wanted uh, CPD sessions or trainings in soft skills. So here we are today with our first session on soft skills, and that is negotiation skills. Today we have with us Mr. Mubinul Haq. I am sure many of the participants, particularly the ones from Pakistan, are familiar with the name, are familiar with the personality. I think he's done fantastic trainings in the past and really motivating. He's an avid speaker on leadership. He's an avid speaker on listening, negotiations, communication, decision making, and what we've done is we've picked up the three topics which are most relevant to the subject at heart, which is improve our earning potential or increase our earning potential. Negotiation skills are extremely important. So Mr. Mubinul Haq he owns this company by the name Talent Development Company. He travels far and wide, inside and outside Pakistan, conducting trainings. And some of these trainings are very interesting as well because during my conversations with him, he was telling me that he's going to take a group of people to the desert rally. Was that the desert rally or
Yeah,
an away day from? All right,
does it really?
so the motor rally in Sindh probably or in the southern Punjab province. So um, that's the kind of individual that we have with us today. I am sure all of you are going to make use of this opportunity. Ask a lot of questions. Remain active. Remain engage with with the presenter and ask a lot of questions. Okay, and I'm sure Mubin Saab is going to take a lot of time in answering your questions, giving you activities, all activity based. And that's the conversation that both of us were having, that academically a lot of material is available, about negotiation skills. How can we make this different? Through activities, through small little tasks. And at the end of the session, Mubin Saab is going to assign role plays to you, which you will be doing at in your unmoderated session on Friday and Saturday. I mean, we're going to split into members and future members. So on Friday and Saturday, you'll be getting together to do these role plays. So Mubin Saab, without any further ado, I know it's a tight schedule, it's a jam-packed session today. Without any further ado, let me hand over to you.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to everybody. I'm Mobeen and I welcome you to this session on negotiation skills. It will be an interactive session. You will be allowed to talk to me whenever you want. Just raise your hand, and my co-facilitator, Mr. Feroz, will unmute you. You can type in your questions if you have any, and I will try to answer all those questions, as many as possible. Negotiation skills, one of the most important topic of life. According to, in my opinion, this is the basic skill that every person must learn. From the day you are born, till the day we die, every second is about negotiation. When we cross the road, we are negotiating with the cars. When we are going for a job, we are negotiating with the employer. When we are in a shopping, we are negotiating. Every second of our life is about negotiation. So this is the most important aspect of life. In relationship, the quality of relationship depends upon quality of negotiation, because in every situation, if in relationship, we are negotiating with our fathers, with our siblings, with our life partners, with our friends. We are negotiating all the time, every time. So this is one of the most important skills that we need to learn, we need to master. So negotiation is about life, and whole life is about negotiation. This is a very, very vast subject. Lots and lots have been written on it. This is a specialized subject as well. You must have heard about hostage negotiations. It's a special type of negotiation. You must have heard international negotiations between states. You must have heard about negotiation between two organizations. So negotiation as a topic is very vast and very, very important in our everyday life. Let's see, we are going to cover some basic terminologies, not details, but the basic terminologies of negotiation. It is said that whatever you want in your life, you have to negotiate. You do not get things just by asking. You have to negotiate. Even asking is a first step in negotiation. What do you want? So the process of negotiation starts by identifying what do you want in your life. Let's have a little exercise here. Type in this thing. What do you know? How do you define what is negotiation? What is your definition of negotiation? Can you type in? Mr. Feroz, please share with us if anybody answers. What do they think is negotiation? What is the definition of negotiation?
I'm waiting. I'm at the questions dialog box and I'm looking at it. If someone can please write what do you consider or what do you think about negotiations or what do you think is negotiating? Arsalan Naseem says, convince someone to your point. Muhammad Anas
How
Khan
can I
is
see?
there's a questions tab on the right side of the panel. If you click it,
Presenter is able to see it. I think he has to be an organizer for that.
No, I cannot see it. I cannot see it. Can I see it, Harun?
Yes, now you should be able to. I've just made you an organizer of the session.
Yeah, negotiation. Each party tries to persuade the other party to agree with his or her point of view. By negotiating, all involved parties try to avoid arguing but agree to reach some form of compromise. Okay, this is Hasib Azam Memon. Now, a very interesting definition. Uh, uh, I want all of you to focus on this one for little time, just for. By negotiating, all involved parties try to avoid arguing. Argument is a part of negotiation. We do not avoid, rather we go in an argument. In negotiation, we go into an argument. We do not avoid arguing. But agree to reach some form of compromise. Compromise is one form of negotiation, one style of negotiation. negotiation is not only compromising. There are other methods, there are other things. So this is a very limited definition that we commonly have in our life. My aim is to broaden your mind, to help you get out of this thinking that compromise is the other name of negotiation as commonly thought. No, it is not. Convincing other person or making other person understand your point, right? Communication in order to get a desired outcome, very good. That's a good definition, very brief. Convince the person, yes. To reach mutual agreement, understanding, yes. Coming to terms, mutual benefit between two parties, Abdul Rahman, a very good, nice. Bargaining between, now again, bargaining is one style. It's one of the style of negotiations. It's not the negotiation. Finding a common point of interest, yes, could be, maybe, yes. A bargain, give and take, very good, between two or more parties, yes. Negotiation, most of the negotiation is about bargain, give or take, but it's again one of the type. It's not the break-even points, Tanzil. No, I want to make maximum out of the negotiation. It's not break-even. We have to create more value in the deal. Create a win-win. Ariful Islam. Now, this win-win is another type of negotiation. Yes, this is an ideal position, that best type of negotiation that we would be studying, and we have to understand how it is different from other negotiations that people have mentioned. And convincing other party to achieve desired result, yes. Exchange considerations, okay. So good. So you people have an idea about negotiation. That's fair enough. That is what people in the road normally think, that negotiation is about bargaining. It's about give and take. It's about break-even points. It's about avoiding the hassle. No, these are different types, and this is the definition of negotiation. The most important point, you can only negotiate when the two parties share an objective but have conflict about other matters. So the objective that we have an agreement, or we share something, that is why we are in negotiation. We want to achieve something. That's something that is common between you and me. We both want to achieve something, but there are differences in other aspects. So in order to arrive at our objective and to reduce the conflict, we need negotiation. Okay, good. Second question, what are the steps of negotiation? Again, can you write down what are the steps of negotiation? What is the process of negotiation? Can anybody help me? What do you know about negotiations? Hearing is a skill that is used, not the step. Questioning is a skill, not a step. Objectives, benefits, okay. These are the terminologies, not the steps. Listen, offer, discuss, and convince. Good. These are the steps. Offer, discuss, and convince. Arsalan Naseem, next, nice. Offer, discuss, and convince. Very good. These are the steps. Planning, discussion, proposition, reaching an argument. Very good, Noman Liaquat. Excellent, excellent. You know negotiation. Debate and discussion. Yes, Shahriar. Very good. In negotiation, there may not be any facts. We may not be communicating the facts. Facts are very different things. Negotiation is not about the facts. May not be logical. Sometimes we become illogical just to do a better negotiation. Okay, yes, so good. So there are certain steps of negotiation. These are 5 steps of negotiation. First, before going into a negotiation, we have to plan. Then we debate about each other's point of views. Then one of the party proposes his or her solution. The other party then creates a bargain. I will take this, I will not take this, I like this, I don't like this. Then there is a bargain. And after that haggling, that those argument, you may or may not reach an agreement. If you reach an agreement, you will be able to get what you desire. If you don't reach the agreement, you will not get what you want. So planning, debating, proposing, bargaining, and creating an agreement. And mind it, you are all are ACCA graduates. Agreement is our most important legal document that must be written and signed. It's not verbal. In negotiation, verbal means nothing unless or until it is written down, signed, and stamped. Only that has the legal validity. So agreement writing is an important part of negotiation. We even negotiate on what to write and what not to write in that agreement. The terms of reference of that agreement are very, very critical. So plan, debate, propose, bargain, and agreement. So these are the 5 steps of negotiation. Different authors use different names, but more or less they are the same 5 steps. The names may vary. John F. Kennedy, JFK, once said when they were going to negotiate with Russia during a crisis, this is what he said: "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate." Try to understand this sentence. Let us never negotiate out of fear. If somebody is pushing you to negotiation, don't negotiate. Negotiation is not done because of threats or fears, but because there is a will. If there's no will, nobody can negotiate. But at the same time, one should not be afraid to negotiate. The only person who is afraid to negotiate is the person who is not well prepared to negotiate. So make it your motto. Never negotiate if somebody pressurizes you. If somebody says right now or never, say never. Say no. If anybody forces you, take it or leave it. Leave it. Because the person is saying, I'm not going to negotiate. The person is not serious, is not sincere. Never accept anything because the other person is pushing you into some area of fear where you are afraid that you might lose something. If you have a fear, don't negotiate. Just walk out. It's better to walk out than negotiate under fear. Now, before we begin negotiation, understand not all situations require negotiation. There are some circumstances in your life where you are not recommended not to negotiate. For example, you are not in a position to bargain. You are sitting in front of a person who is very strict, very rude, or has the final authority, and you do not have anything to give to that person. You do not have any power. So when you are not in the position to bargain, never even try to negotiate. You will always lose. Similarly, when you have the absolute authority to impose your views, you do not go into negotiation. You say, Take my way or highway, take it or leave it, because it's your authority. You do not want to go into negotiations. When you have absolute authority in any circumstances, only when you want to give away your authority, you want to create a room for negotiation, you will do negotiation. Otherwise, in situations of authority, for example, police, sometimes they do not negotiate. They say, no, we will use force. No negotiations. So when you want to use force and it's the best possible method to get your things done, don't negotiate. Third thing, you do not have time to prepare. Never go into negotiation, uh, delay them, because you cannot prepare. If you do not prepare, you will lose out. In negotiations, sometimes we gain short-term measures, but we lose long-term objectives. So if your long-term objectives is being sacrificed, don't go into negotiation. If you are not strong enough or you are inexperienced to deal with the other party is a very strong negotiator. They are the lawyers, they are the people who are do negotiation on regular basis. Please avoid negotiations if you can, or take somebody along who is a good negotiator. Or sometimes the opposing party is giving you a demand that you cannot fulfill. It's not in your power to give what they want. You cannot negotiate because their demand is unanswerable by you. So there's not every situation requires negotiation. Negotiation is only when you have the power, you have the time, you have the authority, and other person's willingness to go into negotiation. If other person of the party is not willing or you do not have the time, there is no need for negotiation. You can ask me any question anytime you want, so don't worry. So can anybody tell me how many types of negotiations are there? Can anybody tell me how many types of negotiations are there? Yes, Noman, we can say negotiation cannot be forced. 4 types: win, win, lose. Excellent, Noman. Excellent. Okay, good. Good. There are basically 2 types of negotiation, and these 2 types are converted into these 4 types. One is called distributive and other is called integrative negotiation. So which is distributive? You have given me 4 types. You have given me 4 types. So which is distributive? Which types is distributive? Win, lose, win, lose, win, win. Win is what? Which type is distributive? Win is distributive. And you mean win, lose is integrative? Win, lose is distributive. Abdul Rahman Wakar. You have just won a chocolate. Treat yourself with the chocolate. No. Other than win, all are distributive. All forms other than win are distributive. Only win is integrative. Let's see. I win, you win is integrative. all three are distributive. Why are they called distributive? Let's understand. And please understand, when you go into negotiation, this is the type that you have to decide from the very beginning. What type of distribution negotiation do you want? A win-win, integrative, or a distributive? Unfortunately, in our everyday life, we seldom see win-win negotiation. 99% of the negotiations that we see, we do, is distributive. And that is why most of us think that this is only negotiation. The compromise is a lose-lose, I lose, you lose type of negotiation that is the most common in the world. And many people mistakenly call that win-win, which is not win-win, which is this a distributive negotiation. So can anybody tell me the difference between integrative and distributive? That now you have seen the types. Only win-win is integrative, all rest are distributive. Tell me, what do you know? What is the difference between integrative and distributive? Munshi Fahima Rehman, why lose not integrated? You tell me. What do you think? It is not integrated. It is distributive. What type is salary negotiation? I don't know. You tell me. It could be integrative, it could be distributive. It depends upon how you conduct that negotiation. Ariful Islam, wow, clapping. You have just won a chocolate. Very good. Very good, Ariful Islam. I wish I could give you your favorite. Which is your favorite chocolate? You can just go and buy it. Excellent. Excellent. Please, everybody read Ariful Islam as this. Distributive negotiation is the negotiation strategy in which fixed amount of resources are divided between the parties. Integrative negotiation is a type of negotiation in which mutual problem solving technique is used to enlarge the assets. Please underline the word enlarge. This is the most important word of this definition. Increase the assets. They are to be divided between parties that are to be divided. Excellent, excellent answer. Perfect answer. Integrative long-term, distributed short-term, right, 100% right. Yes, it means integration of both parties' interest. Excellent. Shariar, yes, you are right. While distributive seems to gain for one party, lose for the other, you are 100% right, Shariar. In distributive, victory is not distributive. One is losing. It's a cricket match. The loss of one is the gain of other. It's a cricket match. Cricket match is a perfect example of distributive negotiation. One party must lose so that other party can gain. Integrative is called cheating in cricket. You cannot do integrative in this game. Collusion is not possible. It's not allowed. But Arif Islam, excellent, excellent answer. Very good. Okay. It's also called zero-sum games. Distributives are also called zero-sum. When the total amount remains zero, when you divide the total sum, it does not change. It's a zero-sum game. They are also called the competitive strategy, win to lose, I win, you lose. These are all type of distributive strategies, distributive negotiations. And in life, because we have no idea about win-win, and it's required a different type of a mindset, most of the negotiations that we do or distributive in nature. I wonder if anybody of you has ever even experienced an integrative negotiation. I wonder. We will ask, we will see. If you think you know, let me know. I would like to hear your story. Now, the most important thing in integrative, as you have seen in Ariful Islam statement, that it enlarges. That means if I bring in two, you bring in two, the result should be more than four. Even if it's four, it's not integrative. The result should be more than four. It could be 4.1 or it could be 400. It does not matter. But the total should be more than four. And the difference, another difference between integrative and distributive is in distributive, we discuss only single issue. While in integrative, multiple issues are negotiated simultaneously. So in integrative, the total value of the deal increases, whereas in distributive, the total value may even go down. If it does not remain the same, it may go down. The total value will be less, may be less, not necessarily. But in integrative, it has to be more. It's a condition for negotiation to happen. If it is integrative, the total value of the deal will increase for both parties. So the size of the pie will be more. So these are the differences between integrative and distributive. Outcome win-win, win-lose, motivation, joint gain, individual gains. Distributive, as you can see, is all about I should win. In integrative, both parties have common interest. While in distributive, they are always opposite and everybody wants to maximize his or her return. That's why the relationship is short term, while in integrative, it's focused on long term. In integrative, we are dealing with multiple issues, while in distributive, we are dealing with single issue. Okay. Okay, ji. I was just looking at the screen so that if there's any comment that I should respond to. These are the 5 styles of conflict or negotiation. These are the 5 styles. Now look closely. Now I want you to observe the y-axis and the x-axis. On y-axis, it's written our wants and needs. On x-axis or horizontal axis, it's written their wants and needs. So these are the 2 dimensions. What do we want and what do our competitor, our opponents want? Based on that, there are 5 strategies of negotiation that we can use in any situation. Number 1, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, I lose, you lose. Avoiding. This is avoid. When you avoid negotiation, you both lose. Can you tell me why this is avoiding? You lose, I lose. Why is it avoiding? Can you tell me anybody any idea why it's avoiding? In avoiding, we both lose. Why? Because we never negotiated. And you are also losing because we did not do anything. We lost it. We avoid when we don't want to hurt relationship. So we do not go into negotiation to improve relationship. So the relationship remains worse, right? So when we avoid, we do not add value. We destroy value. We destroy relationships. Similarly, compete. I win, you lose. When you compete with your friends, with your colleagues, you are always trying to win. That's why it's called competition in cricket. But in daily life, with your friends, with your partners, with your siblings, when you compete, you are always trying to win, go get ahead. So you try to compete, outperform your competitor. So you are happy to see them lose, and your happiness is winning. On the bottom right hand corner, you see accommodate. You win, I lose. Can you tell me where do you practice accommodation? In which part of your life would you prefer to use accommodate as a major your style of negotiation? In which role of your life accommodation will be a major negotiation style? Parenting, yes, very good, Usman. You can also have the chocolate. Yes, in relationships. Wife, line manager. Yeah, Ariful Islam, you are accommodating your line manager. That means you are more competent than your line manager. Only then, if you believe your line manager is not competent, but you are, and so that now you are trying to accommodate him. Okay, good. Before going onto the top right, which is collaborate, let's focus on the middle one, compromise. I win some, you win some. I lose some, you lose some. And as you have seen in your many answers, most people think this compromise is the other name of negotiation. This is where most of the negotiations are happening in everyday life. You go to a shop, you bargain. Bargaining is compromise. You go to salary negotiation, you compromise. Most of the negotiations that people conduct, people do, they do on compromising. And that is why it is one of the most common styles, but not the good style, but a very common, easy to do style. You start high, others start low, you both do some bargaining and meet in the middle. So you start with 100, the other person started with 50, you agreed on 75 or 80. Excellent. So negotiations are done. So this is the easiest method, but it reduces the total size of the pie. And it's very short-term oriented negotiation. It's not a long-term. The top is collaborate. I win, you win. So anybody who can give me any idea where they have seen a win-win negotiation in their life, anybody who has ever seen or practiced or participated. Nikah is a win-win. I win, you win. Not all situations, some situations of nikah. There could be situations of nikah where I win and lose, or compromise type of situations may also arise. When you do a nikah by force, and when then issues of jahez and all these things come in, these are the issues where win-win type of negotiation can become competitive or even will lose. Partnership business. What about 30-70 business partnership? Is it again win-win? Where both parties mutually happy agree to terms. Well, you could be very happy in a compromise situation. Both are very, very happy they get the best deal, and but that's not a win-win. Yes, well-performing employees and buying without bargaining. No. That could be very forcing. You are avoiding bargaining, so or you are they are forcing you. You cannot bargain. Fixed price, sir, we cannot bargain. So you are not in the position to negotiate. So there's no negotiation. When you go on a high-end brand shop, you do not do any negotiations because you are not in the position to bargain. CPEC, yeah, that's a good joke. It's supposed to be. Okay. Uh, Collaboration is a very rare type of negotiation. Uh, we will see how can we do it in everyday life. It is possible to do it in everyday life, even in the job or on the road with the shopkeeper. It is possible to do this collaboration, but it's a very common technique in business world where in supply chain people collaborate, in research and development people collaborate, and you must have seen companies collaborating in some aspect and competing in other respects. So collaboration, this is called co-optation. The new word in the strategy world is co-optation, where you collaborate on something and compete on other things. So this is a new type of world that we are entering. Same slide, but a little different aspect. If you look at the bottom x-axis, you see degree of assertion, and in you on the y-axis, you see degree of cooperation. Now, please note these two dimensions. These are very, very critical dimensions. You know what is the best communication style in negotiation? Can anybody tell me the best communication style in negotiation? Which is the best communication style in negotiation? Yeah, flexible is working hours is a win-win. You are 100% right. No, which communication style? There's no written here. Communication style. Can you come up with the name of the communication style? Do you know how many types of communication styles are there? Like we said, there are two types of negotiation, integrative and distributive. Do you have any idea which communication style? Do you have any idea for chocolate? Two chocolates. Nah, no, indirect. If you do not know the style, your negotiations can never be collaborative. Okay, you don't know. Let me hear. The name of that style is written on the bottom of the screen. Degree of assertion or assertiveness. The best style in negotiation is assertiveness. If you are assertive, you can go for win-win. Four styles are because of this style of assertion, degree of assertion and degree of cooperation. When you go for, let's look at this slide. This number 2 is high degree of assertion is a low degree of assertion but high degree of cooperation. So you are being forced to cooperate. You cannot assert, the other person is asserting. So you are being forced. Sorry, the reverse is the reverse. It's a high degree of cooperation up there, number 2. So low degree of assertion, but high degree of cooperation, this is called accommodating. But if you look at number 3, that had been reversed from the last slide, sorry. Number 3, high degree of assertion. You are being forced to into a position to compromise. You are not ready to cooperate, but you are being forced to cooperate. So when there is a high level of assertion from one party and other party cannot give equal amount of assertion or cooperation, that's called forcing. The fifth, which is win-win, both parties are assertive, and thereby that's why both are cooperative. Low level, if you do not know how to talk assertive, you can never go to level 5. You will always be forced in between 1, 2 and 4, because you cannot be assertive. If you do not know how to be assertive, you cannot even go to number 3. The opposite of assertive is passive, but assertive is not aggressive minded. So if you are a passive communicator, you will always avoid or you will go for accommodation. Best you can do is compromise. Only people who are assertive in their personality, in their communication style, in their choice of words, in their choice of tones, only those people can negotiate at the level 5. Any person who is more assertive than you will force you to come down to 2, 1 or 4. So the other person will force you to change your negotiation style, and you have to give up your rights in order to please that person. They may force you to 4, or they may even force you to 1. You might say, I don't want to negotiate. You are avoiding. You just become angry and you may walk away. So only and only people who have mastered the art of assertive communication can really understand negotiations. Otherwise, it's simply impossible to negotiate. Any question here? Can you explain how to be assertive? How to be more assertive? Hassan, Riaz, and Anas Khan. What is assertive communication, Abdul Rahman? Anybody who can answer this question instead of me answering? Zahra, assertiveness, if you have a competitive edge and expertise, you will use force, right? So when you use force, you will force other person to go to other, lower positions. Clarity could be passive but clear. Clarity is not a part of assertiveness. Conciseness, yes, but passive person could be very concise, rather too concise. He's a person with few words. Assertiveness is a communication style in which you are not afraid to stand up for your right. No, it's not God gifted. It's a skill that you need to learn. Yes, Abdul Rahman Wakar, that's good. According to you, expressing requirements in distinct manner. I read, that's good, that's good. Yes, forcible enough to change. Assertive means you stand up for your right without any fear and without denying the right of other. You respect other, but you also protect your own rights, but you do not tramp on the rights of others. So you take a stand for your own self without any fear, and you negotiate as equal. Hira Razak, excellent. Being able to stand up for your own by being calm and positive. Sada Haq is not is very aggressive. You negotiate. for your rights. Yes, you negotiate for your rights without fear, and you do not abuse or shout at others. Remember, aggressive assertiveness is not about shouting. It's about negotiating. In negotiation, you do not shout. No, if other party is not assertive, you are assertive, excellent. You will back maximum value of the negotiation. Then it will be a lose-lose, or if you are kind enough, it could become win-win. It depends upon your kindness. How kind are you? Other person is not assertive, negotiation can go on, and it may turn out to be win-lose. Because if you become aggressive and greedy, and the other person is a weak person, you will take away everything. In a salary negotiation, if the employer is a strong negotiator, he or she may force you to go accept lower terms of employment. Yes, protecting Lubna, protecting your rights without violating other rights. That's exactly right. So understand and learn. Negotiation is about assertiveness. You don't. You don't negotiate with the abusive person. You don't. Simple as that. Because the person who is abusing is taking away your right, and since the person is trying to demean you, degrade you, uh, you do not negotiate unless or until the person comes to terms with you. Okay, the person will not use such language and it will treat you fairly. Only then you negotiate. Otherwise, you don't negotiate. We will talk about, we may not rather talk about body language. It's very, very important. It's a part of communication. Remember, 58% of messages is through body language. Okay, let's move forward. That we have to cover lot of subject. So these are some definitions of negotiation, some fundamentals of negotiation. Let's move into steps of negotiation that I have just shared, the 5 steps. We will discuss each and everything little bit. We cannot go into details as we have only 1 more hour left to us. So we will try to understand the most important points between for each of these areas. The first is plan. I love this quotation, you know. And today I was reading a book, Grit. And have anybody heard about this word grit? Has anybody heard about this word grit? Mohammad Adnan. Yes, determination. Yes, yes, good. The book was, the author wrote that talent, a person has a talent, it's only 10 to 20% important. The rest is the hard work and persistence. So genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. You could be having an IQ of 130, 140, but that's not a surety for success. But if you have hard work quotient of 70, 80, yeah, you are increasing the probability of your success. So you must prepare for negotiation, because if you do not prepare, you will get a good experience. So when you prepare, first thing is know yourself. What do you know about your own strengths and weaknesses with respect to negotiation? For example, are you emotional? Do you become angry easily, or do you become sad or cry easily? Do you look at your moods, or can you control your moods? Remember, in negotiation, everything is strategic. And when I mean strategic, if you are showing emotions, it's because it's something that you want to show as a part of negotiations, not because you are emotional. So if you are showing your moods, it's part of your strategy. Negotiation does not have any moods or emotions. There's a terminology called poker face. So whatever you want to show, only that thing will be shown. Other person will try to put you in emotions. For example, an abusive person. How to negotiate with an abusive person? You don't show emotions. You don't become angry. You just give the shut up call in a cold tone. Or you tell that person he or she should behave. Otherwise, you cannot talk to that person. You must learn to control your angers and emotions. So what do you know about yourself? How much flexibility and patience do you have? One of the most important part in negotiation is patience. If you give up too early, you will lose. You must wait. You should not be the person who gives up too soon. So you should show flexibility. You should have patience. Without patience, we cannot have negotiation. It will be a haggle, it will be a conflict, it will be some fight, but not negotiation. Because as soon as our patience runs out, we become a person who cannot argue logically, who cannot listen, who fights, but never negotiates. So even if you walk out, negotiations have stopped. Even if you are walking out, it should be a part of strategy. Let me give you an example of walking out. World War II, oh, sorry, not World War II, America, Taiwan war. America wanted to Taiwan to come, Taiwan, I'm saying, sorry, Korea. America wanted to start negotiations, but Korea was saying, stop the bombing first. Only then we will negotiate. But America was saying, no, we will not stop, you come to negotiate. They said no. The world pressurized Korea to come to negotiation. They said, okay. So they came to the negotiation room and then they said, oh, this room is too small. We can't negotiate. So they walked out. Then next day they changed the room. They took a bigger room. The team came in. They said, oh, this is a too big room. What do you want? You want giving us messages? We don't want to negotiate. They walked out. So Americans became very impatient, while Koreans were very calm and quiet. They were said, we are not interested in negotiation. So finally, America had to accept their terms and conditions. Only then the negotiations start. So patience is a virtue. If you cannot be patient, if you cannot say no, if you cannot wait, you are not a good negotiator. And as I've said earlier, negotiation is about assertiveness, not aggressiveness. If you are aggressive, you cannot negotiate because you will be trying to force other all the time. So you cannot negotiate. So there are some questions that you must note before we can go into negotiation. First question, from the day one, from the start of negotiation, you must know, are you going for an integrative or a distributive negotiation? The mindset for each is totally different. The preparation for each is totally different. The style of negotiations are totally different. There is no commonality between the two types of negotiations. So you must know which type of negotiation you are going for. You must know with whom you are communicating. Who is the player? Who is your opponent? What do you know about that person or that organization? You must know as much as possible their interests, their things, their positions, What is common between them? Why are you going into negotiation? What is common? Why have they accepted to negotiate with you? There has to be something common. That is why there was a negotiation. What are the list of issues that you will be discussing, and what are the list of issues that they will be discussing? You must understand issues from each side. And the most important, we must plan for the failure of negotiations. There is a very high probability that negotiations might fail. For example, these days, if you are following politics, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, they are in negotiations. What if negotiation fail? What will happen? So this is a strategy that you must have before you go into negotiation, and we will discuss about it. You must know what do you know? What information you have, what information you do not have. I worked with organizations, and many a times we go into a negotiation with incomplete information, and during the negotiation we find out we don't know this thing. What is this? From where did it come? So if you do not know, information is power. A person who has more information will be more powerful. So negotiation is a game of power. Whoever has more information will be more powerful, will be controlling negotiations. You must also develop your BATNA needs and goals. We will discuss it shortly. We must also develop concessions. We will discuss it very shortly. And we must also know how we will play the game. What card will we show first? What will be shown later? How will the game proceed? So it's a game. Negotiation is a game. And my teacher always used to say, let's rehearse. Before we go into negotiation, let's do a role play. Believe me, it really helps. It puts you into the shoes of the opponent party and makes you think like that person. And you can hear the arguments and you can work around them very easily. If you cannot understand their opinion, their positions, you cannot negotiate. So dress rehearsal is very, very important. So plan. If you cannot do planning before negotiation, believe me, your negotiation will end up either in a distributive manner, with either you losing or compromising on anything. So far, any question before I move into terminologies? Any questions? Any comments before I move into these terminologies? Emotional intelligence is the most important part of negotiation. Yes, I will discuss ZOPA. What if interviewer becomes so aggressive? You remain calm and ask the question, what have you done or said that has made him angry? Try to understand his point of view, because it could be a tactics just to show how do you handle anger. How to rehearse the negotiation before the actual? Yes, that's a challenge. One person will become the opposite party and will prepare the negotiation from that person's point of view, and you will prepare from your own point of view, and you both will then negotiate as good as possible. It could not be 100%, but it could be even 50-60%. It will give you a good start, and on that will give you a good mindset to prepare. CPEC could be integrated. The aim is integrative, but unfortunately, we are at the asking end, so it's more towards the forcing side or compromise side. It will be distributive. Even if one of them is distributive, it will be distributive. Because for integrative, both parties must talk integrative. With one distributive, other person cannot go into integrative. It's not possible. It's a fool's paradise then. Okay, let's move forward. That's $1 million question, Maria. That's $1 million question. Think about it. Think about it. Yes, there are many books on negotiation. Getting to Yes is a very good book. Is a very, very good book on negotiation. You can read that book. There are many books available on negotiation. What is the question asked by Maria? Maria say how to get interview agree on the salary you quote. Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. So these are the terminologies that you must know, and you must master all of these terminologies. These are the core terminologies of negotiation. I do not have the time to practice, go into practice with each of them area, but you have to find methods to read and develop up into your practice. We will try to practice little bit something, maybe, I don't know. It depends upon time. So first is position. Now, position is the most important part in negotiation. Why? Because position is what you say you want. Position is the role that you assume. Position is the stance that you take. Position is what you want, right? It is a mean, rather it's not an end. Position is not the end. But what happens, most of the negotiations fail because we have taken a position. And the challenge in negotiation is, can you tell me what is the challenge in position? Interest is, this is interest. What I need, underlying need that I want to fulfill, why I want. What is the challenge in negotiation, position and interests? Anybody who can tell me any idea about position and interest? What is the challenge here? Let me help you. Okay, what is the challenge in negotiation when a person has taken a position, interest? Okay, yeah, position is rigidity. So how do you overcome rigidity? What is the challenge? Challenge is rigidity, yes. Inflexible, yes. Negotiation is not about position. You remember, I'm saying it again. Negotiation is not about position. If you have taken a position, you cannot negotiate. You always negotiate on interest. Second point, if you always negotiate on interest, the underlying need that you want to fulfill. The challenge is, how do you identify the interest? You cannot negotiate on a position. You can only negotiate on interest. So a person who has taken a stance is his position. But why that person has taken that stance, what is the need behind, is the interest. So the challenge is to move the person away from the position and to discuss the interest. That's the most important and the most critical step in negotiation. This is the first step in negotiation. How do you make that person change the position and go towards interest? In negotiation, position could be the body posture that you have taken. For example, if you are standing like this or like this, now this is a body posture and this is a position that you have taken. Unless or until you change the position, it could be the body posture, it could be the stance, it could be the statement, it could be what you are saying. I want this, I want this, I want this, and nothing else. This is the position. So the challenge of a negotiator is to move from position to interest. On position, you can never bargain, you can never negotiate. For example, salary negotiation, the buyer says, the employer says, I'll give you this much amount. Full stop, no negotiation. That's a position. You cannot negotiate unless or until you identify the interest, what is the need that lies hidden. Only then you can negotiate. On positions, never, never, never negotiate on a position. You will always lose. You will always lose. So try to move the person from position to the interest. And any idea how do we move from position to interest? What are the skills required? Can anybody help me? How can we help a person move from position to interest? There is no position is worst, no position is best. Never. Position is something that you take when you want to force your things. Like some of our parents, they take the position. No, this is not way. This will not be done. Full stop. You cannot argue. You cannot negotiate with that person. If they said this is it, or your mom puts food in front of you and say eat. This is a position. She has taken a position, and you have to eat it, or you have to get out, remain hungry. So that is a position that you have taken. So both have taken a position. You say, I will remain hungry, I will not eat, and mom says eat. So no, both of them are on positions. There's no negotiation, rather a heated argument and conflict. They both are angry. No, collaborative is a strategy. The person has taken a position, you cannot go to collaboration. How? That is my question, Asif. How do you lure them to their interest? Why? Why should other person try to understand? Why? No, it's not about knowledge. No, you may have more knowledge, but the person is stubborn. My view is the right view, and your view is the wrong view. Even you have done a PhD in that area, he says still your PhD is just useless. I'm not interested in your PhD. You have done nothing in your life. It's nonsense. Think about it. How do you move a person from position to interest? If you understand this, believe me, you will understand negotiations. The 50% of negotiations you will be able to understand. Engage in a topic of interest. It could be movies, but it has nothing to do with negotiation, and it's very difficult with a person who has taken a position to talk about interest. Understand their point of view. Zara, how? How do you understand their point of view? That is my question. Dinuki, you can have a chocolate. Dinuki, very good. That's a $1 million answer. You ask questions. Yes, it's the questioning skill. No, nothing. Just focus on the Dinuki answer. It's the questioning skill. You ask questions, probing questions, intriguing questions, open-ended questions, close-ended questions. clarifying questions. You ask question. For example, if mom says, eat this thing, and instead of taking another position, you don't want to eat, ask the question, why are you saying this thing? I don't like it. What is your opinion in it? Why do you want me to eat this when you know I don't like it? So can you give me any reason and give me your understanding why? The answer that your mom will give will reveal her interest, will reveal the reason behind. So in negotiation, there's nothing more dangerous than questions. A person who is armed with question is the most dangerous person. If he or she can create the right questions at the right time, is the best negotiator. Is he or she is the best negotiator. So learn to ask questions. Okay, let's move forward. This is an iceberg, and as you all know, the tip of the iceberg. The most of the iceberg lies beneath the water. So only the tip. So what the person is saying is the position. Interest is what I really need. So people don't like to show their interest because that makes them weak. So they want to start with a strong negotiation. So they start with position. This is what I want. Labor union negotiations. Labor will always start with positions. This is what I want, or we will leave. So you ask this question, okay, this is what you want, we understand, but can you help us understand why do you want it? Now this question of why do you want it puts them in a position where they have to reveal their interests. What is really in it? Why are you wanting it? There's a very interesting story about position and interest, which is written in almost every book of negotiation. Is about two sisters and an orange. Has anybody heard that story? Two sisters and an orange. Has anybody heard that story? Sajid, yeah. Can you share that story with us? If you want, we can unmute. Sajid or Dinuki, we can unmute you if you want. You can share the story with us.
Yes, Sajid and Dinuki, you'll have to raise your hand for Feroz to be able to unmute you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me share the story. There's a story about two sisters and an orange. There was an argument between the two. Both sisters wanted to have the orange. So they were really fighting with each other. Their father came in and he saw the fight between the two sisters. They were very angry with each other. Why has she the orange? I want this orange. I want this orange. So there was a fight going on. So father understood this, that both have taken a position. He asked one question to both. Why do you want this orange so badly? And the answer was, one sister said, I want to have the juice. I want to drink the juice. That's why I want to have this orange. I really want to have the juice. The other said, really, I just want to have the peel so that I can decorate my cake. So asking the right question reveals the reason of position. When you are position and both are fighting for that position, nobody will win. But when you ask the question, why do you want this thing, it will reveal. And this is a classical case of orange in life, in our life as well. There are so many things that we fight with our relatives, with our friends, without really understanding why do we need, why are we interested in it. Is it that the money that I am interested, or is it something else that I am interested? Is it this success that I want to copy, or something else? So positions is what people say, and interest is what lies underneath. So only the right questioning ability reveals the real lying underneath interest. That's where the negotiation can focus. So needs are, the other word is needs or must. In some negotiations, they are something that you must have, the minimum level, something that you must have. Otherwise, there is no need to negotiate. There's no advantage of negotiate if you cannot get that minimum level. For example, in a salary negotiation, you might say, I must have a conveyance allowance or medical allowance or some gratuity or something. Must, without this, I will not join, I will not accept any offer. Or I must get one bonus in a year. The thing that you must, or you can say the minimum salary, I must get this much amount of minimum salary because my kitchen will not run without this thing. This is the minimum I must get. So must or need is the minimum level of a negotiation that you must put in front of you, that will determine what the quality of negotiation. It's the bottom line. So before you go into negotiation, you must know your needs. For example, even if you're going to buy oranges from a shop, what is your must? Think about it. You are going to buy oranges or bananas from a shop. What is the must? And it's everyday negotiation. Can you tell me what is the must in that negotiation? Any idea? Identify one or two musts. Banana or oranges or apples. You are going to buy these things. Yeah, fresh. For example, yes, it should be fresh, must. That's a must. If it's not fresh, you will not buy. That's the minimum level. Yes, it must not be rotten. Exactly. See, when even in everyday life, you apply this rule. When you go and buy and negotiate for a grocery, you have this must. Even if you do not have this must, you will accept, okay, half of them is rotten, okay, no issue, half of them are good. So this, the identifying the must, for example, it could be the size. It must have this size. It must have this price. So in everyday life, you see, without realizing, you have a must in your negotiations. Yes, that's a position. Yes, that's a position. What, no matter what the shopkeeper will say, that's a position that you have taken. And if the person does not ask right question, he may convince you to buy the smaller apples by saying they are more sweeter, more fresh, more tastier, more juicy than the bigger one. So he will try to change your position of size to the taste. So in everyday life, you see, we have this must and this need. It's everyday life. So how can you, it is possible we go to a salary negotiation without having any must or needs, or we are going for a negotiation with organizations without having our must and needs. It's the basic level you do every day. So negotiations are possible every day, musts. So understand your must, where you can, it's a bottom line that we say. Then there's want, something you want more than that. Yes, I want to have fresh apple, plus I want to have red big size apples. I want this thing. This is more than that. Even if you don't get your want, it's okay. But if you get your want, excellent. And on top of want, there's called desires. So you are going to buy apple, but you desire to buy the best of the best apple in the world. And if you go to shop and you see there's a sale on the world's best apples, you have it. That's your desire. That is why the sales on the top brands help you achieve your desires. Whenever you see a sales slogan in top of the top brands, you see people rushing out, and there's all sort of fight and haggle and to get that thing, because this is something that you want. Beyond your want, this is a desire. You want to have that thing. Nike sales 75% off. Imagine what will happen in that shop, right? So desires, you should know in any situation. If this is a negotiation, what is your best possible outcome? What do you desire? Even if you're going to buy a car, what is your desire? What do you really desire? What do you want, and what is your must? So when you start looking at a car, you will look at a must. First thing, must. What is the must in that car? For example, it could be the model of that car. It's a must. You will not go anything below that. The color could be a must. Then the want, the interior look and etc. Then desires. It could be CD, or it could be the quality of the tires or the rims or anything else. Desires, it has this desire, that look, and those things. So you must know what are your wants, what are your must, and what are your desires. And always go for your desires. Try to achieve your desires. This is the most important thing. If you get your desire, you will be very happy. So remember, negotiating is about why. It's not about what. What is your position? Why is your interest? We always negotiate on interest. We never negotiate on positions, because positions are non-negotiables. Interests are always negotiable. So always try to understand the why of the person, not the what of the person. When the person says, this is what I want, you say, I'll say, excellent, this is what can you tell me why do you want this thing? I want chicken fried. Why? Why do you want? Why not beef patty? Why not anything else? Why are you interested on chicken fried? So it is the why that is the most important part, where people can negotiate. And if you understand why, only then you can go into integrative negotiation. Only why can help you integrate. When the whys of the two parties are integrated, then it becomes one objective, that is integrating. Integrating two whys into one is called integration. In compromise, both are giving up their own value of things, so that they achieve something. Why are they negotiating? Because the one person is wanting to save money, other person is wanting to increase money. So that's a compromise. So remember, always negotiate on why, never on what. Whenever a person has taken a position, try to move that person away from position to his interest. And how can we do? We can ask questions. We can change even the physical positions of that person. Ask that person to take a step towards you, or take a step towards left or right. As soon as the person changes his physical position, there's a very high probability the person will also change his mental position. So in negotiation, body language is very, very important. That's an answer to one of the questions. The negotiation that we are discussing is also called the principal negotiation. The principal negotiation is all about winning, win-win negotiation. All others are win-lose. Only the principal negotiation is about win-win negotiation. So, first step, separate people from the problem. Can anybody understand this sentence? Separate people from the problem. What does it mean? Can you help me understand? Yeah, you can be greedy. There's no harm in it. But if the relationship at stake, I advise you, don't be greedy. No, no, Miss Nadia. Don't bring personal matters in the issue. No, no, that's not right. Uh, uh, Issues are personal. All issues are personal. Focusing on people rather than problems. Yeah, no, 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 no. You don't focus on people. Remember, that's what the separate people from problems. For example, a person. Let me help you understand this. A person is very angry. What would you do? A person is very angry. A person is shouting, abusing. What would you do? Yes, identify the reason of anger. Separate. You do not attack the person, you attack the reason. The person is perfectly normal, rational, logical. You do not attribute any negative attributes to that person. Oh, he is an abusive person. He is a irrational person. You don't. You treat the problem, not the person. It's like the disease, like doctor. Doctor does not look at the person. The doctor looks at the disease. So separate people from the issue. When you are in a conflict with a person, don't finger point on the person. You are this, you are that. Don't do this thing on the person. No, never. Never hit the person with, don't characterize the person. You are this, you are that, you are always this. No. Person and people and the problem, they are two different things. Don't abuse people. Let's target the problem. I was just going through a video last week, and the person said a beautiful thing. He said, "You know what? When we do something wrong, we justify and give logical answers. But when somebody else does something wrong, we attribute issue of character. For example, a person is late, the person is lazy or is least caring. When I am late, I was stuck in the traffic, I was doing something important or something else. Remember, this is the worst methodology in negotiation. If somebody is late, there has to be a reason for that rage. Focus on the problem. The person may not be lazy, may not be less caring, may not be irresponsible. Separate people from the problem. If there's a dispute during the meeting and a heated argument between two people, and the two people could be best friends, it could be he or she could be your best friend. Focus on the problem, not on the person. Once you get out of the meeting, leave the problem and issue on the table. Take the person along with you and just tell them we had a difference of opinion on that issue, but that's okay. That's natural, and you have a good argument. So do I. So there is a perfect logical difference of opinion. So no, let's talk on problems, not on people. You are not my problem, right? Focus on interests, not position. That we have discussed a lot. Third one. What is this? Can anybody? This is at the heart, most important point when we go for integrative. This is where the power of this third point comes in. Invent options for mutual gain. Can you get, anybody tell me what is the meaning of this sentence? Invent options. Yes, out of box solutions. Very good. Very good. Anything else? From middle ground to win-win. Yes. Okay. Come up with new solution. Yes. Yes. Good. Good, Alina. Okay. Abdul Rahman. Good. Okay. Improvisation. Yes. Muzaffar. Hussain Rani. Good. Goal synchronization. Come up with common grounds. Okay. Okay. Let me help you. Yes, these some answers are right, but not really right. Uh, invent option means you create an option that was not present before. When you have both given your all the options and none of the option is working, you join hands to create a third option which was not present before. That's called inventing options. For example, you want to go to movie and your friend wants to go to pizza parlor, right? So you both argue and discuss. You really want to go to movie, and the other person really wants to go to pizza. So you create a third option. And what could that be? Can anybody give me an idea? Do both? Yes. Go Cineplex with pizza. Yeah, one could be. Combine the two. Go for both. Third option, which was not there before, these both options are available. Yeah, stay home. Yeah, that's a good option. That's an avoiding or compromising or accommodating or forcing. Eating pizza while watching movie. Yes, that could be that. Third option could be both can go for shopping. Yes, subscribe Netflix and have a pizza. So you create an option which was not there before. A third option, out of the box thinking, create something new, right? You create something new. So that is inventing options. The options were not obvious and they were not there. So you create a third option. And the last one is use objective criteria, because negotiations, you must know how well you have done. So you must have a method of measuring up your how good you have done. Next is BATNA. One of this terminology was given by Harvard Business School. BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. We have time running out. 20 minutes. Okay. BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated. Uh, Focus on the words, to a best alternative to a negotiated agreement. That means you have negotiated an agreement. The person has given you his proposition. Now, instead of accepting that negotiation, you have a proposition, you have an offer, you have an alternative, which is better than the offer. For example, you want to sell your car, and the other person has given you an offer which is well below your expected or must have level. For example, you want to sell your car at the minimum of 1 million, but the offer that you get was a 0.6 million. So you would say, instead of selling this car, it's better that I keep using this car. So instead of going for this agreement, the word instead means the option that you have is better than the option that has been given to you. That's called BATNA. So you, in a negotiation, you must develop your alternative. So you have done a negotiation, complete negotiation, and you have been offered something. Now you have to evaluate whether it is a good option or the option that you have is a better option. So you have to evaluate the choices that you have against the offers that you have. Should you accept that offer or you reject? So rejection and acceptance is based on your BATNA. In a negotiation where you do not have a BATNA, do not negotiate, because you do not know how to and when to walk away and when to say no. In every negotiation, for example, everyday negotiation, you again going back to the banana and apple example, the shopkeeper gives you a really good discount. He was selling at 100 and he gave you a 70 discount of 30 rupees. Now, if you would accept or reject it based on your BATNA, that in the previous shop you have seen very good apples which were being sold at 90 rupees. So instead of accepting his 70 offer, you would say, no, I would rather go and buy that 90 rupee apple, which are better than your 70 rupee apple. So you have an option to fall back on something. So in every negotiation, remember, if you do not have a BATNA, don't even think about going into a negotiation. So any question regarding BATNA? It's at the heart of negotiation. You have to read about BATNA. There's a lot of material on BATNA. Must develop your BATNA before you can go into negotiation. Please don't BATNA on. Yeah, you have to. What do you mean by don't BATNA? Say, if you do not accept, the BATNA is at what point you will not accept the salary. BATNA is not the desired state, it is the minimum. It is the minimum. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement, where you will say no and you will stop negotiating. So this is how we do develop BATNA. What are your options? What is the value of each option? Remember, in negotiation, it's dollars, it's rupees, it's value, it's monetary. Every negotiation can be converted into monetary value, or at least emotional or psychological value. So even this Apple example, you see there's a value attached with it, both emotional and monetary value. Should you buy a cheap 70 rupees apple which are small in size, or should you buy a good looking juicy these apples which are 90 rupees? So everywhere we have this thing as we compare, and when should I accept, when should I reject? So accepting and rejecting of a negotiation deal is based on your analysis of your BATNA. If you do not have a BATNA, and there, for example, there's only one shop in your area and there's no other shop, you don't have a BATNA if you think. However, there's still a BATNA. You can go for other products, not the apple. You may go and just buy flowers. But if you are forced to buy something from a shop and there's no other alternative for you, you do not have a BATNA, so you cannot negotiate. So in a situation where there are no alternatives for in your life, there's no negotiation. These are the questions that BATNA helped you answer. And at the same time, we have to understand others' BATNA if possible. This is the most difficult thing, to understand others' BATNA. For example, in everyday life, again going to the Apple example, there are times in the evening when grocery people are wanting to sell off their everything. For example, sales are there because the season is changing. So that's their BATNA. So they can either go and store their products, or they can sell it off. So they have decided to sell it off at lower prices. You can have a negotiation with the vendor if you know their BATNA. So you must know your own BATNA and others' BATNA. When your proposal is better than your BATNA, accept it. When your proposal is worse than your BATNA, just reject it. So that is how we know when to say no in a negotiation. This is how we will find out which offer to take and which offer to reject, even if it's a salary negotiation. You must know, okay, it's accepting that salary is better or sitting in your home is better. That's your choice. That's your call. Weaken others' party BATNA. This is what the shopkeepers do to you. They tell you that their product is better than the market. If you go in the market, they will give you a low quality product by stating it's a high quality product, or they will do some cheating and this and that, and they are very good, and they are trying to weaken your BATNA. They are trying to show that their option is a better option than anything in the market. So when you say I want to survey market, they say you can do, but you remember people will do this, people do that, you will not be able to differentiate and this and that. So they are trying to weaken your BATNA. So if you do not have a BATNA, remember you do not have a choice. And in negotiation, when you do not have a choice, you cannot negotiate. You have to accept whatever the person is saying. So going in a negotiation without a choice is suicide. The other person, you make yourself as the most best choice, the only choice available in the world. So how do you develop BATNA? Identify your interest and your positions. Develop options. Estimate the value of each alternative, and then select best alternative. This is your BATNA. For example, you want to sell your car. There are 2 or 3 methods of selling the car. You can take it to the market, sell it. You can advertise it in the newspaper or online. Or you can ask a friend to find a person for this car. This will give you an idea what options do you have. So if you get an offer which is below your expected value, you will refuse, because you can always say in the market, if you get something less value, you can say, oh, I'll go to online, I'll get a better value. And this is what happens. So you look out for people and opportunities where you can increase the value of your offer. So this is a chart that you develop: interest, options, our interest, their interest, options. So we write all the interests that we have, and in the middle we write all the options through which we can fulfill the interests of both parties. So without interests, identifying interest, we cannot go into negotiations. The other terminology is reservation price. Reservation price is the lowest price at which you are willing to sell anything, and it's the highest price, lowest price at which you are willing to sell, and highest price at which you are willing to buy. So there's a minimum and maximum, buyer and seller side. BATNA represents the best option available to one party if negotiation fails. Reservation value represents the worst deal they would be willing to accept. You will not sell your car below this price. This is the worst possible price that you below that you will not sell. So reservation will always be higher than BATNA. Remember this thing. The reservation price will always be higher than your BATNA. Based on reservation price, there's a concept called ZOPA, Zone of Possible Agreements. Now, ZOPA, let me share a picture of picture of ZOPA with you. See, there's a range where a person who wants to sell his land is asking the seller's demand. And then there's a range where a buyer is ready to pay. Seller is not ready to accept anything less than some certain amount, and buyer is not ready to pay something higher than some predetermined amount. The difference between seller's minimum acceptance level and buyer's maximum level of payment is the zone of possible exit. If they two overlap, for example, you want to sell your car for maximum of 1 million and minimum of 7 million, 0.7, while buyer minimum is 6 and maximum is 9. So between 6 and 9, 7, 8 and 9 are overlapping. So these overlap will create a zone where negotiation can occur. If the buyer is not willing to pay anything more than 6 and seller is not ready to get anything less than 7, there is no zone of agreement. No negotiations will happen, and it will just fall off. You will say, no, it's too expensive. The seller will say, no, you are too low, and no negotiations can take place. ZOPA identifies the maximum, the level, the range in which negotiation can occur. So the negotiation in this case will between 7 and 9, anything can be agreed upon, because seller is not ready to give below 7. So the other person is not ready to go above 9. So between 6 and 9, the person will go for 7 or 8, and 8 could be an acceptable value. That's bargaining, and the negotiation can be done. So ZOPA determines how good is your negotiation. For $1 million or a chocolate question, how do you determine the best who did the best in negotiation? Using the concept of ZOPA, how can you determine who did the best negotiation? No, there's no time period for an effective negotiation. It can go for years. So how do you know you have done a good negotiation using the concept of ZOPA? A chocolate question. Closer to ZOPA. ZOPA is the range. ZOPA is the range. No, BATNA is lower sign than your reservation price. The person who gets to the end of ZOPA, the person who eats the maximum value of other. For example, in this car negotiation, if the range between 7 and 10, seller wants to get something between 7 and 10, the closer to 10 that person gets, he will be a better negotiator. And if the buyer gets Closer to 7, he will be a better negotiator. So Zopa, your reservation points, they will determine how much you have eaten the other person's Zopa. Yes, the price range closer to it. So if you look at this picture, the closer you go to, you eat the other Zopa, the stronger is your negotiation skill in a distributive negotiation. For example, when you want to buy an apple and you get the best apple at 70 rupees, you have done the best negotiation possible. So you have eaten away the most of the share of other person. This is distributive negotiation. So you must know your range and you must determine the other's range. What is his or her Zopa? So you ask question, okay, what is the minimum that you will sell? And you will try to force that minimum even toward lower. And this is what happens in salary negotiations. You must know your Zopa. And sometimes we add something sweetening to change the Zopa. For example, we may add some product with that. We may add some incentive with that, so that we can, for example, 1-year warranty is just sweetening of the deal. That changes your Zopa. After sale service, these are deal sweeteners. These are all deal sweeteners. They reduce other person's Zopa without creating any financial cost to the person. But it moves the other person few steps forward, so that now you are eating the other person's Zopa. So try to sweeten the deal. So we have discussed interest, positions, reservation points, Zopa. Next important point is concessions. Negotiation, when we are bargaining, remember in bargaining, it's all about giving concessions. So when we are trying to persuade, we give reason. But in negotiation, instead of reasons, we give concessions. And as you have seen in the market, people give concessions. Now, there are rules of concessions. You must prepare concessions before going into negotiation. You must know what are you going to give up. What are you, if you are going to give up money, how much? If you are going to give up some rights, what rights? What are you going to give up, concede? So in concessions, we give something to get something. So it's a bargain. You give something, you only give if you get something in return. Never give concession, always trade them for something back. You will get something. Whenever you give a concession, always ask for something in return. So before making your offer, rule out any chance of your not being conditional on your demand. When you give concession, it could be conditional, it could not be conditional. It could be saying, I'm giving it, no issues, no, but it could be conditional. If you do this, then I might. So concessions are planned concessions in negotiation. You go with planning, what will you give up and what will you not. If you look at international negotiations and everything, it's concessions. What will you give up? What will I give up? It's concessions. So in this distributive, concessions are very important. Even in integrative, we can create concessions. So in the last win-win negotiation, we have been discussing negotiations. Tools and techniques are the more or less same for win-win and integrative, other than the attitude and the skills required. Can anybody highlight What are the skills required for a win-win negotiation? Can anybody highlight? Yes, pie is not being enlarged, but it depends upon negotiation style. We can add concessions to increase the price pie. Patience and counterparties interest. Yes, these are all required in distributive as well. How can we go into a win-win? How can we go into win-win? These are both required in distributive and integrative. What separates win-win from win-lose distributive? What are the skills or requirements? How is win-win different from distributive? Whatever you are saying are true for both. Zopa is always there. Zopa will always be there. Okay, let me help you. Was a very difficult question because, and I found out that most of the people who have gone through negotiation skills trainings and works, even they find it very difficult to answer this question. I just wanted to throw in this question so that you understand. Win-win is a very, very different negotiation technique. First of all, it requires trust. If two parties do not trust each other, there will be no win-win. In order to create trust, there has to be transparency. Transparency means I'm going to put all my options, all my wants, all my musts, everything that I desire on the table. I will show my cards, everything, nothing hidden. There will be transparency of cost and interest. Both parties will show interest, their transparency. Both will show their trust on each other. Both will highlight all of their options. Only then they will start to combine their interests, their whys, and then they will be very open and creative, critical of each other options and creative. They will think of third option, which is not present on the table. They will think, how can we both collaborate to increase the pie? Both will give something, take something, but at the end, they will create an option which will increase the overall benefit of the negotiation for both parties. Both parties must win, nobody should lose. Even if the one is giving concession, it does not mean the one is losing. It means the one is, by giving some concession, the overall value of the deal will be increased. So if 2 plus 2 makes 4, 5, more than 4, 5, 10, or 400, the options will be win-win options. So first of all, trust on each other. Ability to communicate openly, assertively. Ability to be creative, to challenge each and every assumptions. Don't hide anything in your heart. If you have this relationship with your wife, with your parents, with your friends, it will be a win-win relationships. But whenever you are trying to hide something, that's why when we lie in relationships, we go under distributive negotiations. That is why lying is such a bad thing. It destroys the relationship. Win-win is a relationship, long-term oriented. Win-lose is competitive. Even if we do with our parents and with our friends, with our brothers and sisters, siblings, we destroy relationships. So always look for win-win, for creative. This is almost the end. Any question? And then we have one assignment for you. Any questions? We have almost run out of the time. One last question remains. Please practice win-win negotiation. And yeah, one thing that I just want to highlight, this one. Mistakes, negotiation mistakes. Don't try to give first offer only if you are in a strong position. If your first offer should be very aggressive. If you are buying, go on the lower side. If you're selling, go on the highest possible side. A negotiation is all about listening, not talking. Try to understand their assumptions, challenge their assumptions, understand their needs. Keep on re-evaluating other person's BATNA and ZOPA. And sometimes we give more concession because we are weak than another party, and we end up giving too much. So we should not offer first price if we are not strong, but sometimes we have to offer this first price. So in the end, my question to you, how can you do a win-win negotiation in your life? I suggest become an employee and employer. Do a salary negotiation. For example, you have been there for the last 1 to 2 years. Now you want to negotiate for a higher salary. How can you do in a win-win option? Similarly, in everyday life, with your vendors, with if you are in a buying situation with your buyer, with your vendors, how can you go for a win-win negotiation? Most of the vendor negotiation are win-lose. You bargain. So my question will be, have a role play as a vendor, one person selling, providing some services, some product to your company, and you negotiate with that person on a win-win basis. You have been doing it on a compromise basis, give, take, give a bargain, give something, take something, negotiate on costs. But my question is, how can you do a win-win negotiation in everything, in every life, in every act of your life that you do? How can you do a win-win negotiation with even a fruit seller? So next week, have this role plays with each other. Try to find out the ZOPA, the BATNA, interest, reservation points, and try to find out how can you create this win-win negotiation. This is all from my side. Anything you would like to add, ask me questions. I'm here, I'm open. Yes, these role plays are for unmoderated sessions. Yes. No, it's if ZOPA, it's even it's in between. It could be bargaining. Win-win must increase the total value. 2 plus 2 must be more than 4. Even it's 4.1, it's okay. Otherwise, every negotiation will be distributive. Because they are not interested in negotiation. They are playing games. They are not negotiating. The basic interest is not common. The interest of both are very different. So that's why they cannot negotiate. The interest must be common, only then they can negotiate. Both want total dominance. So nobody is ready to give an inch to other. That's why they don't have a common, there's no ZOPA. That's why there's no negotiation. Only when there's a ZOPA, there'll be negotiation. And they do negotiate when they have some common interests. Debate is to win. Negotiation may be to win, both of sides should win. In debate, only one side wins. Thank you, Arun sir. Over to you.
I think Harun is not currently available.
Okay. So, Feroz,
Uh,
you take it
but
up.
yes, we'll just conclude the session. And as Mubin Saab suggested, you guys, your assignment for the unmonitored session would be role plays. You will be partnering up with another participant and negotiating on a certain situation, which you will mutually decide. And I think that's it for today. See you guys on Monday. We will be discussing the next skill with Mubin Saab, of course,
That will
and
be
do
decision analysis, decision
yeah,
making.
yeah, decision making and
On 7th.
analysis.
On 7th.
Yeah, 7th February on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
More Suhail,
Thank
that
you.
will be taken care in the unmoderated session as well. Okay. See you guys on Monday. That's it for today.
Okay. Allah Hafiz. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
Stay blessed. Enjoy, negotiate, and win. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for your time as well.